Hi everyone, it's Tracy Yuan.
And Peter Murray. Good morning, Tracy.
Good morning, Peter, and welcome to China.
Thank you very much. I've
Today,
always wanted to go to China.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I went to Hong Kong many years ago and I loved it. So I'm definitely overdue a visit.
Well, you're 4 streets ahead of me. I've never been to the Far East.
And I actually went to Macau as well, which is just a little island just off Hong Kong. And I went to the Chinese border, but I didn't go through. And one of the things that are on my bucket list is to actually go.
The Great Wall of China. Wow, that's a nice thing to have on your bucket list.
And I'm certainly going to do it, Peter. And so let's just talk a little bit about China because, you know, we're doing this world tour and we haven't done one for a while. So we've been stuck in a couple of our other countries. So next move is definitely to get to China. And so we're actually going through the world. We're going to go through the world and we're going to look at the Bitcoin adoption in each country and also to help people from those countries to get involved in Bitcoin and the digital economy.
Absolutely. And thanks for putting all of this together, Tracy. This is great.
Pleasure. So let's talk about firstly the population. 1.3, actually you can really call it 1.4 billion people actually live in China. And that is 18.72% of the total world's population. So they certainly make up a fair chunk.
That's for sure. And, and the population is growing.
Yes, absolutely. Most of the people are actually, well, no, I can't say most of the people, but 56.6% of the people are living in urban areas. But there's a vast amount of people that are still in rural areas in China.
Yeah, I mean, China has this almost 50-50 balance between cities and the rural areas.
Yes, but, you know, the cities are very densely populated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the median age in China is 37 years and 3 months.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, that's quite a young population as well.
Yes, it's a young population.
Very much in contrast with Japan, which has an aging population.
Yes. Okay, let's have a look at the economic growth. Actually, here's a graph since January 2015, and as you can see, it's just been dropping. I mean, I know that it looks like it's quite a drop, but it's only 0.3%. Until October 2016. And apparently farming, forestry, animal husbandry, fishery accounts for about 9% of the GDP.
Oh, that's interesting.
And industry is 40% of the GDP. Construction is 9% of GDP. But unfortunately, the GDP growth has been the weakest since 2009. And in 2015, it was the weakest in 25 years. So they really are starting to they've been taking strain over the last year.
Well, this is why we've seen such people worrying about the Chinese economy and all of these things happening in the news and stuff like this. So, there's a big rebalancing happening in China. So we'll see.
Yes.
I think the economic growth will continue again after a short while, but in the moment it's a bit difficult.
And I was watching Bloomberg this morning, and they were doing the report on China, and they've got a couple of graphs here because there's some positiveness in the last month. So this is the China trade balance. Just explain a bit what trade balance means, Peter.
Trade balance is basically the balance of goods that the country sells in their trade with other countries. So if you have a positive trade balance, it means you're selling more goods to other countries than you are buying.
Okay.
So China is basically a net exporter, not a net importer.
Okay. We do know that as well because they do export so much to the rest of the world. So this is exports now, and they were actually saying that this was such a wonderful surprise to see. Because exports have been really struggling over the last few months, and And now, because September it was actually a minus 10%, then in October it went to a minus 7.3%, and for November it was a 0.1%. And I'm just wondering, because they do so many exports, to the rest of the world, do you think this is because of the festive season that is almost upon us?
I think that's entirely possible. I mean, there's always an increase in orders over, coming into the holidays. Remember, we've got in the US and all over the world now, we've got at the end of November, we've got Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales. A lot of those goods are imported from China. And then obviously the whole Christmas period, which is a huge retail period. So yes, I think it could make a difference.
Yeah. Okay, so the yuan has continued to lose value. It's down 10% from August 2015 to the dollar. So not looking too good here, Peter.
Well, there's still a lot of people saying that the Chinese are keeping their currency, artificially high, and it should devalue more. But it's very interesting.
It's going to be very interesting to see what actually transpires between the US and China with Donald Trump becoming president.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Donald Trump has already made calls to Taiwan, which irritated the Chinese. So there's a bit of a strain now between the US and China. So we'll see if this strain continues. And also Donald Trump has criticized the Chinese and blamed them for a lot of American job losses.
Yeah, absolutely he has. So in terms of digital economy, how ready is China? China's been on the internet really since 1989, May 1989. Which was pretty intermittent. And then permanently they've been on since April 1994. So 2008 became the largest population on the internet, China was. Obviously, because they've got 1.4 billion people. They didn't have that many in 2008, but still. 2016, actually, there's approximately 50% of China's population has internet connectivity. But let's go back here to 480 million smartphone users in China by 2014. And it's projected in 2019 to go to nearly 690 people. So that's a vast amount of people on smartphones.
Well, that's a 50% growth in the smartphone market. And it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely amazing, because, I mean, smartphones are incredible. They say that more than 60% of the Chinese mobile phone users are projected to use a smartphone by 2019. So 60% is quite high.
Yeah, that is very, very high. And I won't be surprised if that's higher, though, because I think everybody wants a smartphone.
Yeah.
Everybody that wants a phone will want a smartphone. And smartphones are also getting cheaper and cheaper.
Yes, they are. They definitely are. And there's all sorts of new brands coming out of China.
Yep, absolutely. And, so that's going to be very interesting development.
Yeah, definitely. So just recently there's been, a lot of talk about the new capital flight law. And what they've done is they're actually restricting movement of anything. It just gets flagged. If there's anything over 5 million, it gets flagged and investigated, and you need government permission for that. And you know what? Previously, it was $50 million was allowed to move out of the country.
That is a massive, do you know how massive that change is? Because there's so much money that have flown out under that 50 million threshold. It's unbelievable. So now, that is amazing. That is a very big change in policy.
Yes, very big. And also they are, it's not easy to import gold anymore, but we're seeing that India is doing the same thing, not importing gold.
Yes, that's true.
Private people.
Yeah. And these guys are doing everything they can to stop capital flight. Whether they're going to stop it through Bitcoin, that is a different ballgame altogether.
Well, you know, there has been increasing investor and institutional adoption in China. So there are a lot of investors that are trying to that are using Bitcoin as a hedge against the yuan. And also, you know, they actually say that the Chinese love to gamble. So they are actually loving Bitcoin. And
Yeah,
we're seeing it with this high traded volume that's coming through.
and it's absolutely amazing.
And actually, an interesting story that I saw just the other day was that there's a company that's decided to get people into using Bitcoin, and because the Chinese love to gamble, they've actually introduced these gambling chips. So they're going to teach people with the you know, and it's got a big Bitcoin on it.
Oh,
So
interesting.
that's a novel way of teaching.
You can play poker with your Bitcoins.
So let's talk about Bitcoin adoption. You know, there's a lot going on in China. I mean, this year has been pretty active. There's been Bitcoin miner conferences. The government has been supporting blockchain conferences as well. There's a lot of activity around that, Peter. Have you noticed?
Yes, I've noticed, and there's a lot of things happening, you know, in that market. And like you said, the Chinese government is really supportive of all of this. So, you know, that's definitely a place and a space to watch. The Chinese have a history of, you know, doing their own thing with technology. I mean, I just saw earlier that Uber actually has left China because they lost a court case, and the local company is now, you know, the Uber of China.
Yeah, I can imagine they would want to do their own thing in that respect. I did also see that as well, Peter. So good for them, and sorry for Uber. But Uber's all over the world, so they're getting a good market share. So People's Bank of China partnership with Citibank and Deloitte and Touche to determine the best way to build and issue the digital currency. So now they are also talking about you know, considering their own digital currency as well.
This is a lot of central banks have this idea in their heads. I'm not sure how this is going to work, but we'll see.
Yeah, it just would be so great if they would just accept Bitcoin and just move on.
I don't think that is the major objective. They want to have control over the money market, still central banks. So it's going to be interesting to see how this works, not only in China but all over the world.
Yeah, well, you know, it's almost like it's probably like almost like their fiat currency. All they're going to do is they're going to make it digital.
And print even more of
it. Okay, so up to 98% of trading is actually also happening in China. Obviously, that does fluctuate, but one of the other things that happened in China just recently, which was early December, is that the Bitcoin price reached a 2-year high. So that was great.
Yes, and you know, the local market is very, very active in China.
They are. And the thing is, the Chinese exchanges seem to be selling Bitcoin at a much higher price than the average in the rest of the world. So people there are definitely paying a lot more for their Bitcoin. And we've spoken about how different markets are, depending on what's going on in their country, start to charge a little bit of a premium.
Yes, I mean, we saw that massive premium in the Indian market earlier.
Yes, we did. So 70% of Bitcoin mining, they say, is happening within Chinese borders. And yeah, that's what they're saying at the moment. So quite interesting. Also that it's estimated that the top 4 Chinese Bitcoin pools control 30% of the Bitcoin network.
Wow, that is a massive. So China is massively important for Bitcoin.
Yes, very important for Bitcoin. And you know, it's good to see that the government is embracing all of this. So that's great. So all ASIC chips are also manufactured in China. So they also control the hardware.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, very. Now let's talk about some more Bitcoin adoption. There's a company based in Shanghai. It's called Bitsy, and it was created by IBM Alibaba and Louis Vuitton in 2013, and they've actually developed blockchain as a service applications. And it seems to be probably similar to what Microsoft have done as well. BitSpark Hong Kong, Bitcoin remittances work with 4 countries, and they've actually just done Malaysia, by the way. It's just been, they've just set that one up now.
Well, that's very interesting. And, you know, again, just as another area of massive adoption.
Yeah, massive adoption. And then also in the micro-lending space, there's a company there, you know, there's lots of micro-lending companies all over the world. This one's in China, and this particular one actually has just joined the Hyperledger project. So besides a whole lot of other Chinese businesses, this Hyperledger project is going to be enormous. And they've actually, their mission, just for people to understand what they do, they're collaborating, they're in researching, developing, and standardizing blockchain technology. So this is a pretty important project that's actually going on.
Yes, and you know, Hyperledger is growing leaps and bounds, and I think they are going to be the place of choice for people to go to collaborate on the blockchain.
Also seeing results. You know, there's lots of pilots that they've done.
Absolutely true.
Yeah, and Walmart actually did a pilot, and it's all about food safety. So this is excellent, and they did it with pork, because you know, China is such a massive pork consuming country, and of course, if they, you know, this food safety is a problem worldwide. So if you know, this really works well and they set new standards, just imagine it will be implemented all over the world.
Yeah, that's true. And you know, Walmart is such a big player that, you know, this gives real legitimacy to blockchain use.
Absolutely, it's fantastic. So let's just talk about the exchanges. How do you get your Bitcoin in China? There's a company called OKCoin. They are actually the largest exchange in China. UOB is the second largest, and you know, the interesting thing is, and also there's a company called BTC China, BTCC, and they actually don't have trading fees. These 3 companies do not have trading fees, and all deposits are done via bank transfer.
Oh, that's very interesting. So it's actually a quick and easy process.
Seems to be. And also they are working flat out, because these guys are, you know, most of the volume in the world is coming through these exchanges.
Well, I can believe that keeps them quite busy.
But yeah, absolutely. And but local Bitcoins are still there, you know, connecting the buyer and the seller.
Yeah, I mean, peer-to-peer business is going to, you know, grow leaps and bounds as well. Not everybody wants to buy on an exchange because they don't necessarily want to give their KYC and stuff like this.
Correct,
correct. So they will buy from another person and transfer their Bitcoins directly.
And in actual fact, there are so many transactions that are happening worldwide that there's no, you know, the numbers are not being added to any of these statistics, because it's a lot of peer-to-peer stuff. You know, exactly. A lot of that peer-to-peer stuff happens. So you wouldn't know who's sending money to who's sending Bitcoin to who. But there was a very, very famous hack which happened this year and caused a little bit of drama in the Bitcoin world. And it was Bitfinex. They're in Hong Kong, based there. $72 million was hacked from their exchange.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting. And also, you know, highlights again that the biggest threat to our new digital economy here and in China is cybersecurity.
Correct. And also, you know, when you use an exchange, you must make sure that you just use the exchange for the reason you're using it, you know, buying or selling. Do not keep your money in one of the hot wallets online, because as much as you put in Google authenticators and have fancy passwords and all that type of stuff, you know, you can't stop a hack from the inside if there is anything like that happening. But what Bitfinex did is they started to you know, obviously they didn't want to see their business collapse. They didn't want to disappoint their their clients anymore, so they offered tokens. Have we heard any more about that, Peter? I haven't heard for a while.
There hasn't been an update for a while. We'll, if there's an update, we'll let everybody know.
Yes, absolutely. And this is my bucket list, the Great Wall of China.
Tracy, I would love to see your selfie on the Great Wall of China.
I'm going to do a selfie on the Great Wall of China. Definitely going to do that. And in fact, maybe you'll be next to me, Peter.
Yes.
Let's do it.
We'll take a double selfie. What do you call a double selfie?
No, you don't. I don't think there's a word for that.
Maybe maybe we can coin a new word.
Yeah, maybe we can. But on that note, I mean, China is very vibrant. There's a lot of action going on in China. I'd love to go and see a mining farm. Would love to do that. So yeah, it's definitely loads and loads of action, and we need to keep our eyes on China.
We'll keep your eyes on China, Tracy. We'll keep your eyes on China.
Absolutely.
And follow our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll keep your eyes also very, very squarely focused on the Bitcoin price in the coming days.
Yes, we will indeed. So thanks very much, and we'll chat soon.
We'll chat soon. Thank you very much.